Hey everyone, this is smpratte, and with the 20th anniversary approaching, I thought it'd be a good idea to talk about Evolutions and the 20th anniversary. Evolutions booster boxes are flirting with about $1,000 right now. For some people that makes sense, for others it doesn't make sense. So what we're going to do here is talk about the history, do a little story time, what it was like 5 years ago. Also throw a ton of data at you, talk about the EV and what the contents of the box are worth versus the price of the actual box. We're just gonna have fun talking about Evolutions Day and the 20th anniversary because it's a very fun, enjoyable, reoccurring topic. So, going back about 5 years, 2016, when I started making videos and they were slightly more cringy than they are today, that was a different landscape. You didn't have the blue checkmark YouTubers. You really didn't even have people talking to the camera. Like, I was one of the first people to do that because I was always frustrated doing things with my hands in front of the camera. I just wanted to talk about the hobby and the market. That was in its infancy back then. You'd even have like these big stores like DA Card World, all these big players that are now a staple, even PWCC, they weren't messing with Pokemon the regular like they do today. So therefore, when Evolutions dropped, it was an explosion. This was a set that single-handedly brought people back in, made people excited. Like on E4, you had like a mega thread that was like 50 pages long. It was by far the closest thing I felt to that original 90s era. Like even Pokemon Center redesigned their site with all this retro nostalgia. Like it was just 100% 11 out of 10 execution. It was a fantastic job. So there's no doubt in my mind or in anyone's mind who experienced that especially that Evolutions is a good set. There's a reason why there's so much of it out there because there's so much demand. Another very valuable data point is back in 2016, I remember I made my order with my distributor for like 10 cases or something like that. And they texted me, hey, we can only get like 6 right now. We can get you the rest of them like a month because we're completely allocated. That was unheard of. It wasn't 2021 now, like with all the stonks and the bots and everyone just blowing up Pokemon Center every week. It wasn't like that back then. So for that to happen, back then, 2016, unprecedented, what does that tell you? This set has a lot of demand, and I think that goes without saying for most people. So that's a general history of Evolutions. It came out in a time when the hobby was much smaller. It was one of those sets that has like this gravitational pull to it where there's people who went to Target and who can tell you for sure, like they're here 100% because of Evolutions. Like they got back into the game because of Evolutions. Like I can think of like 20 people off the top of my head from E4 alone that came back into Pokemon because of Evolutions. So it's a fantastic set at the end of the day. And that's a good starting point for this discussion is that it's definitely one of the best modern sets out there, bar none. I think it has a great mixture of old and the new, and they did a great job integrating like the old art with upgraded stats, giving them the power creep, except for Chansey. Chansey was so OP, they didn't have to change a thing. But I think they did a great job with that execution as well, all the way down to the cards and the selection. So what people who don't care about, emotional value or any of that, they're like, wait, EV, it's expected value, not emotional value. We'll get into that. We'll get into the numbers. So EV is typically its expected value or estimated value of the contents in the box versus the actual price of the box. Whenever you see that online, that's what it means. In the case of Evolutions has fantastic EV ratio, like phenomenal. So if we go down the line of some cards I wrote down over here, just from recent sales, like in the past week, we don't have to get into the holos, we don't have to get into the full arts. We're gonna start with base set Pikachu Reverse Holo PSA 10, $350. Like if you have one holo card, chase card, whatever that's doing $350 PSA 10 in a box that's priced at $1,000, that's already pretty solid. That's already good. But don't worry, Evolutions is just loaded. Pretty much all the full arts like Mewtwo, Pidgeot, go down the line, Brock, Misty, $200 plus in PSA 10 condition. Even like Blastoise, Charizard especially, who has like, over 3,000, like over 9,000 pop at this point. That is like $250 plus for PSA 10. You also have, of course, PSA 9 Charizard, like the basic Charizard reprint, $300 plus. And this is me being conservative. Like I'm saying plus because they go for more, but I'm doing the most conservative possible pricing for this stuff, and it's still a fantastic EV. A good way to illustrate like a terrible EV is like all the EX series. Like majority of the EX boxes are awful. Like I didn't even mention, like if you get the PSA 10 basic Charizard, definitely one of the hardest modern cards to grade out there for sure. But if you hit that thing, you're easily like 3 to 4 times, the price you paid for the box out of that one card. Like easily, conservatively, that box or that card is hitting like 3K above at this point. So that would be like the top card in the set to get. So if we go something like Deoxys right now is being shopped around. There's a couple people with boxes that are trying to shop offers. People are throwing out like $50K right now, so $50,000 for an offer. So let's say a box sells $50,000, EX Deoxys. What do you got to do? What's your EV going to be to get that price back? You got to hit the Rayquaza, which isn't in every box. Gold Star is estimated in one in every other box. So if you got to hit Rayquaza out of those three that you might get, like the Latios and Latias. So at the end of the day, you got to hit Rayquaza, which is really tough. It's got to be a PSA 10 just for you to recover. Like, just for you to get back in the game. Like, we're not even talking about, like, making money yet. Like, just to get out of the red. You know, it's a rough ride. And a lot of those boxes are like that. Dragon Frontiers is another one. A lot of the EX boxes have awful EV ratios. You know, the contents of what you'll pull will be absolutely abysmal to the sealed price. And there's a lot of reasons why. You know, there's a mixture of reasons. You know, part of that is the whole... I was going to say Instagram and YouTube, like opening culture, whatever you want to call it, like people who are doing the pack sales, box breaks, things like that. You know, that's a big motivator. Also, people who just collect sealed product, they want to open it, they want one of everything, you know, whether it's a pack box or whatever. That's a whole nother motivator inside of that. So at the end of the day, you know, it's something that for Evolutions is a phenomenal EV. And for people, again, getting that emotion aside, like not the emotional value, like this is just math. Like it's not an issue of like, do you like Evolutions, dislike Evolutions, like do you think it's being flipped, scalped, whatever. None of that matters because like this is just simply math, and the EV is just data at the end of the day. You know, it's not an emotional argument, and in this case the data is clear that the card values, especially graded, just absolutely outweigh the box. Like even a bad box break is still going to get you like a break even if you grade decently well. Like you can even go the nines on some of those cards. You know, you're still going to do fine. So again, it has as it stands, as I'm making this video, of course things can change, but as I'm making this video, it has a fantastic EV, and that cannot be understated. Especially when you go look at a lot of the other comparable boxes from the era, you know, there's not really a set that is as mixed as this one. Also, something else, you know, for people who hear me say that smpratism, one of the most famous ones, the older rare mint are better. This set has a little bit of that. You know, it's kind of a asterisk next to that because you have the old art in the set. Like big brain meme right now. You have the old Charizard, like Pikachu, Chansey, Machamp, Mewtwo. Like you have a lot of that art in there, and I think they did a great job of like balancing the old with the new. You know, like I mentioned before with the text change, like Chansey is still a beast. You know, they did a great job of balancing it out and making some of them playable. I remember like at the time, like Raticate was speculating to be really playable because it wasn't fully translated. But yeah, they really did a great job of adjusting that for the modern era while still giving you that nostalgia injection of the old art. So it does have that old art. So it technically qualifies in that regard to like older rare mints are better. And that's why it has so much demand. I think that's just a good mention, you know, for people who really subscribe to the older rare mints are better mentality, because it's something where this one is kind of like a time travel set, which is why, you know, probably why it did so well. Also, with the increase of base set, you know, on that topic of older cards, with base set continually increasing, at least being consistently outpricing people. Like, for example, a full PSA 10 first edition base set just sold for $666,000. That's not a meme. That's what it actually sold for. I remember, we'll talk about 20th anniversary again. I remember when I started making videos, I don't even think the first edition base set, it was maybe flirting with 100K at the time. Like, I remember doing a call with one of my first Patreon members, like, ages ago. And they were like, hey, do you know anyone who'd pay 100K straight up? Like, cash. And at the time, I didn't. You know, I didn't know someone, at least who wanted to do it the way they wanted, who would throw down 100K cash. Where today, it's like, you can get a whole, like, city full of people who'd be ready to throw down 100K cash for a PSA 10 first edition base set. Because, again, the last one sold for about 6 times the price, 6 to 7 times the price of that. So, that I think also plays a role. You know, when base set increases, it's a classic rising tides lift all boats, brings up all the other base set stuff. I would even make a risky claim here, risky smpratte claim right now. I think Evolution is actually better than base set 2. Like, that's a risky claim. But why I think that is because it really captures the old and the new, where base set 2 is just another reprint. It's like the 5th pressed olive oil. You know, it's like just yet another reprint of base set, where Evolutions is a nice mixture. I really like those full arts. I love the Brock full art, Misty full art. I love how they did like a mix of like bilingual executor, surfing Pikachu. Imakuni's Doduo is like in English. Like, this is a nice selection. You know, that is a really great execution. Where again, base set 2 is like, okay, more reprint. I hear people who collected the Cosmo Hollow. I hear you typing right now. But at the end of the day, I would actually say that about, again, it's a risky claim. There's no way to prove it with data, but just from a collecting perspective, I see more people excited about Evolutions. And that's one other thing I want to mention here towards the end. This set had so many people chasing it. Like, so many people wanted to complete this set. I don't know how long this video is, but we can go for an hour if there's so many things that come to mind with Evolutions. But so many people were chasing this set right when it came out, and still to this day. Like, it's a very fun set to complete. It looks so nice getting all the full arts. It looks so nice getting like the base set stuff in there. It works so well together. And again, if you don't care about the emotional value, the amount of people who were trying to chase Evolutions was by far greater than any set. I would safely say definitely the most collected modern set out there. You know, you could throw Hidden Fates, you could throw Shining Fates or Shiny V or whatever at me, but the difference with this is like people were trying to get card per card, you know, like full sets, master sets, like the super experts out there were trying to get the double colorless variants, all that stuff. You know, it really had a strong core of people really trying to get all those cards and collect that set because it's just fun to do. And of course, like I said, with Hidden Fates and all that, definitely close contenders. But I would safely say Evolutions is definitely the set most people collect because it does a perfect job of bridging old and new. So one more thing I wanted to say in closing is that for people who still don't agree or don't think it makes sense to them, consider that the Japanese CP6 has been well above $1,000 for a while. And of course, it's a smaller print, but also it has smaller demand. Like, there's no way around it. I love Japan. This is a Japanese franchise. I always try to like talk about, you know, a lot of the Japanese promos that fly under the radar. But at the end of the day, without a doubt, the English set market is like its wheelhouse, where its Achilles heel is promos. Like, Delivered Pikachu's like the first promo they did in like a decade that's exclusive. So that's the makeup. Where Japan's a little bit different. Japan's definitely got a big arena of promos and a growing amount of set interest as well. But at the end of the day, there is so much demand for this. And that idiom that I'm always saying, flipping is a symptom of demand. You know, people who think like, oh, this is just because of flippers, scalpers, whatever new buzzwords being used. Tell me why Crimson Invasion is like a ninth of the price. You know, why is Crimson Invasion not $1,000? Why is the EV of Crimson Invasion, more importantly, not $1,000? The EV is really the crucial point there. Because people get lost in the flippage, and they don't really dig deeper beyond that. They don't actually open up the box, literally and figuratively, and really get into the details of like, who's buying this stuff? Who's collecting this stuff? And with Evolutions, it becomes apparent when you look at the cards. People actually love this stuff. People actually love this set. No one's talking about Crimson Invasion. If anything, Crimson Invasion is always going to be that like terrible set that you're always going to talk about. Not like Emerging Powers terrible, but pretty close. And that's why that box is like a little bit over 100, you know, after 4 years, where this one is like flirting with 1,000 after 4 years. And also this one has probably 9 times as much product out there, and it still is hitting that price point. You know, just like Base Unlimited. Why Base Unlimited has such a high pop, so many boxes, packs, whatever, always for sale, is because there's that many people who want it. You know, and that's what you got to really dig into. Because I think a lot of people who disregard what's going on with Evolutions or throw the baby out the bathwater, they get caught up in the flippage of the boxes and they don't get in there into the actual cards. And they don't realize, like, this is all related. You know, demand is the only reason why you can flip stuff. Like, I can't go to the store and flip, like, the no-name toys in majority of the Target aisles. You know, I can't go do that. I can, if I try to, like, Nickelodeon, like, Toys R Us 90s, like, shopping spree and knock everything in my cart, come home and put up on eBay, majority of it's not going to sell because majority of it's not popular. Where this is, when there's exorbitant demand, that inherent reality of physics is true in markets. Like, when you have exorbitant growth, so does the shadow, like the scalper, Team Rocket flipper, you know, that grows as well. But never forget, it's because of that core demand. That's the only way that shadow can exist. Without it, it'd be like Crimson Invasion. No one's trying to mess with that stuff. And if Crimson Invasion were like thousands of dollars for boxes, yeah, I think that would be an irregularity. You know, the market would have to be so huge at that point. It would look odd right now if that happened. But yeah, with Evolutions, the prices, especially in relation to the EV and all the other things I mentioned about the emotional value as well and the history of the set, you know, it's definitely a cornerstone of the hobby. I have nothing but nostalgic vibes and feelings and value for when it dropped. And again, it really captured that 90s essence, like the essence of beauty. You know, it really just captured that like spirit of the 90s, like really, like it truly did. just like Pokemon Go did. So yeah, you can't say enough about the set. Again, even if you don't care about the emotional stuff, the EV's there for you, the math's there, it all checks out. There you go. There is my presentation. There's my book report on Evolutions. Hopefully that was valuable. I'm going to try to do more of these discussion videos because I'm getting so many questions, so many good topics from you guys. And, you know, I do this every month in Patreon. I really go deep in Patreon, as most people know. But yeah, I'm going to keep trying to roll out these discussion videos because so much is going on at the hobby. I feel like there's so much I need to talk about. So there you go. Hopefully this is useful. A lot of people were asking about it. There it is. You know the deal. Let me know how I feel. It's pretty much it, guys. Till next time.